Satan?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. You sounded like someone else.
Never mind the wisecracks.
The Satan. What is it? Let's go ahead and get into the Satan, okay? Let's begin here with Apollyon Abaddon. Quick disclaimer right quick. If you're watching my video, are you ready to swerve in and out of the traffic cones? Don't worry, there will be a destination, and it will not be the crash site. So let's go. Buckle up, put your helmet on, and buckle up. Let's go. Apollyon Abaddon. Okay, I included a couple of links, the Destroyer, the Beast, and Liar. I have not done videos on that yet, but I probably won't. Eventually, maybe one day, I don't know. I am so busy. I barely have time to get this one in. So those are links for comprehension and understanding. Let us move along. Let us go. Revelation 9:11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue, his name is Apollyon. Okay, I need you to notice something. Notice how he is an angel. Abaddon, the angel. There's only two other angels named in the Bible, and that is Gabriel and Michael. Abaddon is the third one. Get that through comprehension before we continue. Let's go. Revelations 21-3. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and the great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. Notice, once again, the Christian doctrine. It's obvious Satan is not the most powerful and beautiful. He's not even an angel. How wrong can you be, Christians? How wrong can you be? He's not even an angel. Let's continue. Revelations 7-12. And there was a war in heaven. For that context, that is Jude 1:9. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. Okay, once again, you have this dragon getting his ass whooped. Not the most powerful, okay? And his place was not found any more in heaven. That does not mean he fell from heaven. That simply means he does not receive a morning star. He has been blotted out. There is no, he does not receive the self-existing eternal name. He's been blotted out. This is why the scroll rolls. I'll get into all of this here in a minute. I apologize for my rambling. Like I said, we're going to be swerving in and out of these caution cones for a minute, because there's so much confusion about this topic. Okay, and then the great dragon was cast out. That old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world, was cast into the earth. He's written in the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come Yahshua, and strength and the kingdom of our God, and the power of his anointed. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, the waters, the flood. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. Jude 1:9. Yet Michael, the archangel, when contending with the devil, has disputed about the body of Moses. Okay, for comprehension on that, watch my Tammuz video, Passing Your Seed Through the Fire to Moloch, at the timestamp 6 minutes and 59 seconds onto 8 minutes and 36 seconds. It is very pivotal to understand that comprehension, and I'm not going to repeat it in this video. So refer to that to understand that war in heaven. Okay, the war in heaven is your Exodus. It happened at the place of strife and contention on Rock Horeb. Go view it for comprehension. Moving on, Isaiah 14, 3 through 11. And it shall come to pass in the day of the Lord shall give thee Noah from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage, when you was made to serve, that is Egypt. Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased. The Lord had broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted and none hindereth. The whole earth is at Noah and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Those are the morning stars. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedar of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirred up at the dead, even thee, even all the chief ones in the earth. It had raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. And they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become as weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. These are your plagues, your floods, your sea peoples. When Nebuchadnezzar turned into a beast, the fiery serpents came and chopped his tree down, so that the Son of God may be manifested. Let us continue. Babylon the whore has fallen. This is your Hillel ben Shahar, which means crescent moon sun god. Okay, proof of this is the very Jericho, when as soon as Joshua went up in the promised land, the very first thing they took out was the walls of Jericho. And it is Strong's Hebrew 3405, and it means its moon. And it's from Strong's Hebrew 3394, the moon, before the moon, long as the moon shall shine. And that's from Strong's Hebrew 3391, a lunation. Isaiah 66:23 for reference, and Revelation 12:1. And what's interesting about 12:1 is when the Son of Man comes, the moon is blotted out and at her feet, and she is clothed with the sun. It's the complete opposite. It's the complete opposite. And in the words of the uplifting deceiver, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. This is your fertile crescent. Okay, I have covered this in Hova video. I have covered this in Cain's wife. I've also covered this in the flood. The deluge is a delusion. Moving on. Isaiah 14:12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O crescent moon sun god? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weakest the nations? Another detail I want to bring out. Does Satan have a grave? Would the worms eat his body? Let's move on. For thou hast said in thy heart, Isaiah 4, continuing with Isaiah 14. For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend unto heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, and I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. That is your crescent moon, son of the dawn, your Nahum 3:16. Thou hast multiplied thy adultery above the stars of heaven, and the cankerworm spoileth and flieth away. Those are both references to your locusts and your birds. Once again, the war in heaven, the bird that flew from the ark. Moses' wife, Israel. However you want to see, however you want to look at it. The black bird. And let's not forget, God divorced Israel twice, and we know he's not a liar, and yet left a cliffhanger saying, if you'll just come back. Is that bird ever coming back? I'll put a pin in that topic, and I'll boomerang around it later. Basically, Satan, Abaddon, the fiery serpent, is used for God's glory, so that the Son of God may be manifested. Zechariah chapter 3 is a perfect example. Here we have Numbers 22:22. And God's anger was kindled because he went, and the angel of the self-existing eternal name stood in the way as Satan against him. That's what it says. Isaiah 45:7. The self-existing eternal name does all of those things. And 2 Samuel 24:1. The anger of the self-existing eternal name moved against Israel, the blackbird. 2 Chronicles 21:1. The anger of Satan moved against the Cushite bird. Exodus 23:22, where it is noted, I will be Satan against Satan. Says it very clearly. 1 Kings 13:28. This one's cool because he sends a messenger to go into the giants, into the daughters that are fair, and do not sit at no one's table for any snare. He does this successfully multiple times until another angel, who does not declare, so saith the Lord, invites him into the table for the snare. And upon completion of that table, the angel looks at the other angel and says, as soon as you exit this, the lion is going to devour you raw. 1 Peter 5:8. Satan was just used for the glory of God. We have a Tammuz situation here in Joshua 6:26 and 1 Kings 16:34 in the form of Hiel. Once again, Jericho establishment. Satan was just used for the glory of God. Can you see it? Luke 10:18. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning falling from heaven. We're going to get into this confusion in just a second. 1 John 3:8. He that committeth sin, is it just irony that the first moon god is called sin? Is of the deceiver. For the devil sinneth from the beginning. For this purpose the Son of God was manifest. Do you see it? That he might destroy the works of the deceiver. You see that? John 12:31. Now this is the judgment of the work. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out. Matthew 24:27. For as lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so also the coming of the Son of Man be. That's because this lightning strike. Satan falls in lightning because Christ comes as lightning. This is the same event. Satan did not singularly fall as lightning. Christ had to show up in order for that to occur. That's because he is written in the earth and is not from heaven. That's why. Matthew 4:10. Then said Jesus unto him, Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. So much for Satan wanting to be God. So what is this Satan? Purpose of the beast and the fiery serpents, it'll never be built. This is another thing the Christian doctrine got wrong, that we're all going to be served a purpose, the one world order under Satan's rule. It will never be built. The cedar will always fall, it'll always go rotten, and God will always send his fiery serpents to manifest the Son of God. You Christians, I'm going to be beheaded before the Antichrist in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. If you know any Christians saying anything like that, there is no authority, no name written on his forehead. He has already been beheaded and he is marked by the Antichrist. If he's saying anything like that, depart from their presence immediately. Moving on. It will never be built. Isaiah 13:19 through 21. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms and the beauty of Chaldees, excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. Once again, there's no homosexual activity going on in Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot's daughters prove this. Lot's wife proves this. Okay, so what is this strange flesh that these demonic possessions are coming after? You just witnessed this in your COVID-19 drill. As soon as somebody showed up to the store without a mask, did you see all the demonically possessed just completely alleviate what they believe to come and put their hands on the strange flesh? I'm sorry, but if COVID-19 was real and you came into the store breathing, I would flee for my life. There's no way in hell I would come after the strange flesh. Are you fucking crazy? I would maintain distance, but see, that's the demonic possession. It is legal plunder. I get to, through policy, manipulate your demonic possession to where the will of God has no effect. You will do what you're told. Sit on the back of the bus, shut up, and do what you're told. Yes, you will. Moving on. It shall never be inhabited. Neither shall it dwell from the generation to generation. Now shall the Arabian pitch their tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. But the beast of the desert shall lie there, and their house shall be full of doleful creatures, and the owl shall dwell there, and the satyrs shall dance there. Excuse me, my mouth is getting extremely hoarse. Excuse me. And Genesis 11:4. And they said, Go to, let us build a giant and the tower, whose tops may reach unto heaven, and let us make a name. Let us, before we be scattered above the face of the earth. Once again, what are they building? They just said, hurry up, because the devil has a short time. That's what they just said. So, Satan is from the earth. Job 1, 6 through 7. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, wherein comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, from walking up and down in it. The dragon has been cast to the earth. He has been written in the earth. What else did I want to say right quick about this? When the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, this is an altar, a rigama of a divine council of men, and Satan just so happens to be there. Once again, Matthew 4:10. Okay. So to cast, what does this mean? To throw or to let go of a thing without caring where it falls, to scatter, to throw, cast into, or give over to one's care, uncertain about the result. Of fluids, to pour into rivers, that's Cain's kids, and to pour out. This is exactly what the Angels of Revelations is doing, by the way. Dragon is from your Strong's Greek 1404, and it means to look. A fabulous kind of serpent, and we'll unfold that in a minute. Perhaps as supposed to fascinate. There's your dragon. What have I been saying about your godless, wicked imagination? These are your contracts to your covetousness, to the whore that sits upon the waters. And when you do this, the sun stops shining and is darkened, and the blood is on the moon. That is your fertile crescent. The blood is your Tammuzes, and the morning stars roll up their scroll because they ain't giving out no more names. Does that make more sense yet? Deuteronomy 28:44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Revelations 12:13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the Tammuz. Revelations 12:4. And his tail, Deuteronomy 28:44. Thou shalt be the tail, drew the third part of the stars in heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon, Nimrod the state, the ways of Cain, stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered to devour her Tammuz as soon as it was born. The sun is darkened, the blood of the saints is on the moon, and the stars withdrew their names. You are in Gotham City. You are in Gotham City in participation of this Cain way, where you will be brought to the ways of Tubal Cain, which is your Dark Knight, by the way. This is exactly why this is why they can't stand Jesus. He is called the cosmic joker of the universe and the creator of chaos and the demiurge, who, by the way, hates his father, who is a drunk and a fiend. What do they always call us believers? Drunk. What is a fiend? A demon. They hate Jesus Christ. Do you see? Oh, yeah, and by the way, the Joker's mother's name is Mary, which, by the way, David and Mary is the same thing. It's another video. I got that coming up in my Virgins video. So that's where you at, all right? All up in your wicked imagination. Genesis 3:1. Now the serpent said unto the woman, yea, hath God said? Nakash, a serpent, Strong's Hebrew 51:75. Nakash, to practice divination, to observe signs. Strong's Hebrew 51:72 and 51:73. A soothsayer, a wizard, a magician, an enchanter, to practice divination and to observe signs. This is all in Revelation. Make sure no one deceive you. How do we know beginning and times coming? Make sure no one deceive you. It all starts there. After that, you go into Gotham City, where you are marrying, partying, where mother is against father and father is against son, and the plagues and the droughts and the wars. Sound familiar? You're in the middle of Gotham City. So in Deuteronomy 4:19, least thou lift up thy eyes to heaven, or where thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the hosts of heaven should be driven to worship them and to serve them, which the Lord thy God hath divided unto all nations under the whole heavens. This is in relation to Yahalel ben Shahar. I will get into that, where my heart secretly entices me when I walk in the moonlight. We'll get into that in just a second. This is your covetousness, the temptation. Okay? Genesis 3:13, and the woman said, the Nakash beguiled me, and I did eat. The enchanter beguiled me. Beguiled is Strong's Hebrew 53:77, to lead astray, that is, mentally, to delude, or morally, to seduce. The deceiver, Strong's 78:54, the opponent, adversary, to oppose in purpose and act. Matthews 3:7, also 12:32 and 34, and 23:33. Ye serpents, O generation brood of vipers. He's talking to the citizens of Gotham. Genesis 3:14. Upon thy belly shalt thou go. Matthew 16:23. Get thee behind me, Satan, for thou art an offense unto me, and thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men. Mark 8:33. Get behind me, Satan, for thou savorest not the things of God, but the things that be of men. Once again, they are extending the own borders of their garment. And savorest is Greek 54:26. Think, regard, mind, be minded, savor, be of the same mind, with Greek 8:46. Be like-minded, to have understanding, be wise, to feel, to think, to have an opinion of oneself, think of oneself, to be modest, not let one's opinion through just of himself exceed the bounds of modesty, to think or judge what one's opinion is, to be of the same mind, namely, agreed together, cherish the same views, be harmonious, to direct one's mind to a thing, to seek, to strive for, to seek one's interest for advantage, or to be of one's party, side with him in a public affairs. Well, that sounds pretty good so far, doesn't it? From Strong's Greek 54:24, understanding the parts of the heart, 2 Peter 1:19, the mind and the faculty of perceiving and judging. Wow, that still sounds really good, doesn't it? Until you read The Crowd by Gustave Le Bon, and you find out that this wicked fascination of ungodly imagination could lead in another direction, which is exactly where that's going, because it's from Strong's Greek 54:20. Stop, to fence in, to block up, to close out, to put to silence. Now, I have made plenty of references about the high-lailed crescent moon and Jericho. Oh, matter of fact, here we go. I do this all the time. Joshua 6:20. So the people shouted when the priests blew their trumpets, and it came to pass when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down so flat that the people went up into the city, and every man straight before him, and they took the city. That is Jericho, its moon, Yahalel ben Shahar. And what did they do? They just crushed the walls. Stop, to fence in, to block up, close out, to put to silence. They just crushed the moon god, okay? Basically. Okay, so where are we at? Continuing with your Strong's Greek 54:20, to cut off, written in the earth, to rein in or curb the midriff as the portion of the body, that's the heart, once again, your 2 Peter 1:19, namely, figuratively, by implication of sympathy, the feelings or sensitive nature, by extension, also in the plural, the mind of cognitive faculties. 2 Corinthians 11:14, and for marvel. And marvel, for Satan himself transformed into an angel of light. That is emotional dysregulation, where you have appointed yourself as judge of good and evil. And it's all about feelings and sensitive nature and emotional insanities. Logic has left the building. In Genesis 6:5, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of his thought of his heart, 2 Peter 1:19, was only evil continually. Genesis 11:1, and the whole earth was of one language and one speech. What did we just go over? You are of one mind, of a deluded, emotional, insane mind, where you give your children to Nimrod for future credit and peace and security, and upon you comes sudden swift destruction, where the sun shines no more, and the blood of our children is on this adultery commerce. And we don't receive names anymore, for we hear him not. Do you see what's going on? Genesis 6:3, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh. And in Romans 1:21, because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but be vain in their imaginations, and in their foolish hearts, 2 Peter 1:19, was darkened. The darkness comprehended it not. The Cush begot Nimrod. Ephesians 4:17 through 18. This I say therefore, and testify unto the Lord, that henceforth walk not as other Gentiles walk, in the vanities of their minds, having the understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God through the ignorance that is in them because of the blindness of their hearts. 2 Peter 1:19. 2 Corinthians 3:3, jealousy reference, and I'll get into this in a minute, the jealous God. Once again, you guys want to call him the demiurge and the cosmic joker while you worship your Tubal Cain. Batman's so cool, isn't he? Oh my God. For ye are carnal. For where is, speaking of the Joker, why do you think you're attracted to characters like D. Finns in the movie Falling Down, or Tyler Durden from the movie Fight Club? These are very satanic versions of what Yahshua HaMashiach destroys, and they hate him for that. They call him the demiurge, and they also say, if you ever wake up through revelation, we'll make you look crazy. That's another thing that they're trying to say. So, moving on, where was I? Where was I? For ye are not carnal, among you envying and strife and decisions, ye are not carnal, and walk as men. I apologize. I'm trying to get through this. I got so much stuff to do. Isaiah 34:4, and all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, as their host shall fall down, and the leaf falleth off from their vine, and as falling fig from a fig tree. Revelation 6:14, and the heaven departed, and the scroll rolled when it was together. The Cush begot Nimrod. That is your Jude 1:6, your Jude 1:16. I cannot stress that one enough. Romans 8:6 through 10. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace, because the carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please God. But ye are not in the flesh, but are in the Spirit, if so be that in the Spirit of God dwell in you. Now if any man have not the Spirit of Christ, he is none of his. And if Christ be in you, and the body is dead because of sin, but the Spirit of life because of righteousness. But if the Spirit of him that raiseth up Jesus from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Christ from the dead shall also quicken your mortal body by his Spirit that dwelleth in you. Therefore, brethren, we are debtors, not to the flesh in Egypt, to live after the flesh. For ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. That's why Egypt kept their firstborns. But if ye live through the Spirit, do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. For as many are as led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. For ye have not received the spirit of bondage again into fear, but ye have received the spirit of adoption, whereby we cry, Hosanna, Emmanuel. The Spirit itself bear witness with our spirit that we are children of God, and if children, then heirs of God, and joint heirs with Christ, if so be that we suffer with him, that we may be glorified together. And those are your morning stars. Okay, let's get into these creatures. Well, the carnal mind, okay? Romans 8:18 through 23. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who had subject in the same hope. Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travelleth in pain together until now. Those are your fiery serpents. And not only they, but ourselves also, which they have fist fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within, waiting for the adoption, to wit, the redemption of our body. Romans 1:25. Who changed the truth of God into a lie and worshiped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. Mark 16:15, and he said unto them, go ye into the world and preach my gospel to every creature. Revelation 11:18, and the great city which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where our Lord was crucified.